Hey everybody, welcome back to Oh So Lovely, where God is making all things beautiful in its time. I am Sherry, your host, and if you hear my voice, then that means I have some good news for you. First, before I get started, I want to say Happy New Month. It is August 2025. Y'all, this year is just moving on, and time is waiting for nobody. I'm just going to get right into this. The title of this is Do Not Suffocate Yourself. And this message or this video is really based on the story that I heard. To my knowledge, it was a true account. And when I initially heard the story, I was not looking to learn a lesson from it. I had no idea that the story would actually be so impactful. However, when I heard the story, I went to sleep that night, and when I woke up the next morning, this story was still playing in my heart. It was just still, I'm going over it in my head, and I'm like, what lesson was I supposed to get from this, or whose message is this? You hear stuff and it's like, oh wow, that was interesting, and then you get past the story. This thing would not leave me, like I couldn't shake it. So I'm going to tell you the story, and then I'm going to tell you the significance that I feel like it means for me and probably for you as well. So again, true account. It's a story of a man and a woman. This couple, they weren't married, but they were in a romantic relationship. The relationship was rather toxic, so eventually they split. The man went his way, the woman went her way. Well, I didn't know much information about the man, but it was said of the woman that she was like a genius. She was very intellectually smart. And however, her choices didn't reflect her intellect. So we'll get to that in a few moments. This will be brief, y'all, I think. Yeah. So anyway, the couple breaks up, and the woman could not get over the man. I don't know if it's because she was just totally in love with him, if she was obsessed, or if she was very possessive. Sometimes people feel like, oh, so-and-so couldn't get over me. Honey, it don't mean that he was in love with you. It probably means that he felt like you were his property. But anyway, that's not this video. But this particular lady could not get over her ex. And so the story went that the lady calls the ex one day, and as she's maybe calling him, she's also en route to his house. And so the guy sees the woman pull up at his house, and he's like, what is she doing here? But because they had been broken up, this dude was like, look, I know her. I know how she rolls. I'm getting out of here. He left his house and went somewhere else because he didn't want to confront her. Now, the guy's profession, I forgot what it was, but the woman was a medical doctor. She was a physician, very influential, very well-to-do financially and intellectually, like I previously said. So she comes to his house. This guy leaves, so the house is empty, except I think maybe he had a dog. But anyway, she, instead of knocking on the door, she goes around the house, doesn't have any way of getting in. So she decides that she's going to go down this man's chimney. She climbs on the roof. She goes down the chimney. But there was an area in the chimney where she wasn't anticipating. I guess she thought the chimney was just going to go straight down and she can just, slide on down the chimney. But there's a part inside the chimney that the space gets very narrow, and she didn't anticipate this happening. So she gets stuck in this narrow space. And the way that the story was told, the narrator was saying that she got to a point where she got stuck, and she took a deep breath to yell out for help. Once she let out the cry for help, her lungs deflated because she had let it out and all of the air went out with it. So that little bit of deflating of the lungs, it narrowed her body just a little bit more, and she slipped down to like a super, super narrow spot. It was in that spot that she died. She suffocated. So the end of the story goes like this. So the lady, she was a physician. Her physician's assistant was like, hey, I don't know where she is. her car. The guy called the physician's assistant, like, look, so-and-so's car is outside my house. I haven't seen her. I left when I saw her pull up, but she's not in my house. Nobody knows where she is. So they get the police involved. The police comes out. They do an investigation. They see that the lady's vehicle, her personal belongings are still in the car, but no lady. So time progresses. The guy already had a trip planned. He goes away on his trip, but he had already arranged for one of his friends to come over to the house just to check on it in his absence. The friend comes in and smells like this really, really foul odor. And it's like, what is that? So he's sniffing around trying to find out where this stench is coming from. And it leads him to the guy's chimney. He looks up the chimney and sees the dead lady's legs dangling. So, moral of the story is this. Sometimes we experience things and we experience people that sometimes can create bitterness, a root of bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness in our hearts, right? Sometimes the trauma is so bad, it's hard for us to shake it. It's hard to see how in the world you can move on. And for some people, getting revenge is more important than moving on with their lives. So two people were in this toxic relationship. The man decided, look, I would rather leave my own house to maintain my peace because I know what's coming with this lady. Whereas the woman who had her freedom, she didn't take advantage of it. She returned to the place of toxicity. And because of this resentment, whatever it was inside of her that would not let this man go, that would not allow her to move on, it literally took her life. So if you are dealing with any unforgiveness, any resentment, anything where you really do have the power to let that thing go and breathe again and live again. As little and as minor as you think that is, remember the lady, she got caught in a very little narrow space in this chimney. It looked harmless. It looked like something that she could just glide into the dude's house and probably get in on the inside and then open up the door and then she would have free access. But she didn't anticipate this very, very small, seemingly minuscule idea that never even crossed her mind. Like, what if he gets stuck in the chimney? What if it's a little bitty thing that ultimately takes you out and suffocates you because you can't get over something that you endured in the past? Let me encourage you, and even myself, and I'm going to tell y'all a story about me real quick in this video. So I said it was going to be short. Don't hold me to that. Short is relative, people. Short could be like 20 minutes versus an hour. But if you're dealing with any type of unforgiveness, even if it's unforgiveness that you're holding against yourself, if you feel like God has let you down, do not let that thing rob you of a new beginning or of a bright future. Don't let everyone else be able to move on with their lives and you get stuck and you end up choking yourself out because you can't shake off the past, right? So, as I said in a previous video, I'm divorced. My ex-husband, he went and I think he probably has a family with another woman. I know he has at least one kid. He may have another one, and as far as I know, he may have married the lady. Well, I don't have any contact with him. I intentionally have zero contact with him. There's no reason for us to stay in contact because we don't have kids together, and the business that we had together, he bought me out. So I'm still in contact with one of his family members, and I told this person, I said, listen, I don't have anything to do with this individual. I don't need you to tell me anything that's going on in their lives. I don't want to know. It's not my business. I have no desire, no interest in knowing. Part of that is because I'm deliberate and intentional about moving forward. But another part of that is I don't know what areas in my life could still be sensitive to what I experienced with him, the pain, the trauma, the betrayal. I am healed because I speak it by faith, but I do know where God has brought me from. But there was still an area that I wasn't anticipating still having some tenderness to. So I see one of his family members not too long ago, and It's like this person just needed to slip his name in or slip what's going on with him. And to the undiscerning ear, you would have thought like, well, Sherry, why you trip off of that? I'm not going to say what the person said, but it triggered me. Y'all, I was so triggered. Like I was messed up for like a day. But in my book, a day is too long to be tripping off somebody from my past. But here was the thing that really, really made me feel sad and feel upset about it. I was like, Lord, I was married to this man for over 20 years. I never had kids. He cheats on me, goes and starts messing with all these other women, and I guess finds one that he's in love with, has a baby with, and like I said, at least one baby. Could be more. He could maybe he's married her. But what I realized was, or a good question for myself could be, Sherry, is this one minuscule thing, this speck of unforgiveness, is this thing hindering you from fully moving forward? Is this little thing of resentment, this thing that is you still call like a tender area, is this thing preventing you from experiencing your full new life like you want? He's gone on about his life. I have no idea. He told me before, like, I still think about you. That's none of my business. I don't know if that's true. Nevertheless, he's gone. He has fulfilled his dreams of having kids, having women, having his own kingdom. And I've moved on, obviously, in several ways. I thank God. But honey, when I tell you that thing, it made me upset that it was still in me. But I was also bothered by the fact that I was still bothered by him. So I'm going to close this out. Do not allow an experience, an emotion, especially when it comes to unforgiveness, resentment, or bitterness. The Bible says, like, you don't want any root of bitterness to take heart in you unless it springs up and then it defiles everything. You want to get that stuff out of you. How do you do that? I'm sure there are different ways, but like on a very elementary level, I have to say to him, Father, I forgive this individual. Forgiveness is a constant thing that we have to practice. And forgiveness has nothing to do with your feelings. It is a choice. It's a decision that you make to say, you know what? God said, if I don't forgive, then he won't forgive me. Forgiveness is for my sake. It is for my benefit. And I didn't realize that I still had areas of unforgiveness and resentment that needed to be dealt with. So again, do not suffocate yourself. Get rid of unforgiveness that you have. Get rid of things that you experienced in your past. And honestly, you are out of the fire. You're out of the storm of the past, but you still are living off of the echoes and living off of the residuals of that experience. Let go of it. Don't let somebody come and find you trapped in somebody's chimney and the only thing left of you is the stench of your unforgiveness, the stench of your pain. Don't suffocate yourself, okay? All right, y'all. Go. Expect God to do marvelous things in your life. Expect him to give you beauty for ashes. Expect him to make all things beautiful just like he has promised in his word. And until we meet again, take care.